Hey guys, it's hard not to think about what Jordan Peterson said about. Well, she said this about 3 years ago that if you were in Nazi Germany, you would probably be a Nazi. Most people would be Nazis. They wouldn't be the ones shielding and helping the Jews and other groups. Alright? Most people would be Nazis, and you can take that saying with a grain of salt, but considering we're in an age now and in a peculiar situation where we can see that people will choose to be Nazis instead of administer critical thinking. And I find that pretty cool. It's pretty awesome how despite learning about critical thinking and everything in school for several years, although they never tell you, hey, question these sources as well, you know? It's always critical thinking about specific sources, but not about other sources. No. You're never supposed to have critical thinking against something that the government controls. Because the government always knows what's best for you and always wants what's best for you. Always. They've always wanted that for all their citizens, even in Nazi Germany. Did you see how they treated the Jews? Yeah, they just treated them just like everyone else. They just wanted what was best for them, right? Yeah, okay. The government cares about your health. The government wants you to survive. Yeah, okay. Instead of looking at things that actually work and the things that actually help, it's like people are like, oh, no, we have to completely just do what the government says, even though, they're not saying something other than, oh, let us take your freedoms away. And people are like, yes, take our freedoms away. We don't need our freedoms. We believe everything that you say in the government. And it's like, oh, yeah, yesterday I said that there are absolutely no side effects to this one thing, and today I'm saying, oh, there are apparently a lot of side effects to this one thing. And then they say, us bringing in these these ISIS warriors and giving them housing and everything, we were being naive. Yeah, no, like we believed that things would get back. Do you really think that people that are intelligent enough to have a position of power are not intelligent enough to put two and two together? Are you legitimately telling me you believe that? Then again, us plebs are apparently so damn retarded and so damn dumb that we cannot put this two and two together. And for some reason, it baffles me, Because the people who said that, I wouldn't be a Nazi during the Second World War, I wouldn't have done what Hitler told me to. You mean just like you're doing exactly what your government tells you to now without any form of critical thinking? While you're also attacking other people, regardless of the points they try to make, regardless of how nice they are being, regardless of how they're trying to show you that, no, I understand your worries and the way you're thinking, but this it isn't quite accurate. They're just not listening. It's just funny, How come people who say they wouldn't be Nazis are taking the position of Nazis? I'm just talking in an abstract way about a world that doesn't exist and has nothing to do with our current situation in real life. I'm just saying this is all about a story in a novel that I'm writing. This has nothing to do with reality right now. It's like kind of futuristic in a similar world to what we have now, where the governments just strip away all of our freedoms. They start by administering things to us, putting things inside of our bodies and all that. against our will, and many people are for it because they've been brainwashed by the government and they have no form of critical thinking. And afterwards, they start to realize, as the government officials are taking away their wives, that, oh, wait, maybe the government isn't really here to help. Oh, wait, they're taking our children away. Okay. And they're telling us it's for our own safety. Oh, so they're putting our children in camps. They're administering several different types of drugs to our kids. They're killing people on the streets for saying they don't agree. Huh. Nah, I fully believe the government still. You know, because why wouldn't you? The government has always been there to help us, hasn't it? The government has always been a reliable friend in our hard times and during history. So that's what that's what I'm writing a story about right now. That has nothing to do with the current situation in the real world. No, nothing. Just saying, you know, like, have a bit of critical thinking. That's all. Think for yourself. It's like, it's something to learn from, because that's how you get out of it. You know, in the novel, that's how you get out of it. Because otherwise, things can end up pretty bad. Like in the novel and in history, because I'm referring a lot to history, like the French Revolution, like Nazi Germany and everything, because it's quite interesting, because history tends to repeat itself, you know? The government overstepping their bounds, innocent people getting slaughtered. You know, several times through history there have been pretty much completely innocent villagers who have gotten slaughtered by occupants. And you just question, like, okay, wait, do you guys think that the Europeans did the right thing when they went to Cuba and the other islands close to Cuba? Do you think they did the right things? Like, do you think that it was right to for them to slaughter people who actually took care of one another, who actually cared for one another, who had a pretty happy society and peaceful society, even though maybe not that scientific? They were kind of happy, and they didn't harm anyone. Well, I mean, some people back then, during those times, some people were, of course, doing some extremely disturbing things, but the majority in certain places weren't. So I'm just saying, okay, I can understand it in some scenarios where it's like, oh, you guys are cannibalizing others, we're going to put a stop to this. That seems pretty fair, you know? That seems pretty fair, you know? Get rid of the cannibals. Okay, fair. Get rid of the innocent fishermen who haven't harmed another person in their entire life. Huh. How does that make sense? Anyways, we can learn so much from history, yet we're allowing it to repeat itself. And I don't see why, really. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And listen, I'm recording this on my phone, and I know it's a shitty recording, and why would you care about what I have to say, right? Why would it matter when someone is actually, you know, trying to be there for people, trying to help people, who's genuinely doing things? And I have to fucking point that out, not because I want you to think I'm a good person or anything, because I don't even call myself a good person, but I'm saying I do these things. I work selflessly. I'm being honest now. I work and do things extremely selflessly. I self-sacrifice, and I do kind of what Jordan Peterson says. I can sometimes be a monster because I feel like I have to be in order to be able to do the right thing, to be virtuous, or whatever. Of course, sometimes I don't take the fights. But regardless, this is the type of person I am. I really care about others, and care about helping others, and care about the overall happiness of the population. I care about things like love, hope, relations, friendship. You know, combining our efforts to do something better. You know, and trying to learn from one another. Because the best way we can grow is to assume that the other person knows something that we do not. That's also something Jordan Peterson says. We have a lot to learn from one another. There's an infinite potential to grow. There's an infinite potential to learn. I can admit that I am not the most intelligent person, and my speech is a bit messed up because a part of my brain that governs speech is a little bit slower than other parts. So that is why I sound a little bit retarded sometimes. Or maybe you think that, oh, well, you're speaking much more clearly and so than we are, but it's my mind is a little bit screwy. And now you're like, oh, your mind is a bit screwy. Let's not listen to you at all then, because you're admitting that your mind is screwy, so you're not a reliable source. But Jordan Peterson is a relatively reliable source, I'd say. I'm just saying, think for yourselves. I think that doing the right thing, I think it's pretty simple to understand what the right thing is in your heart. It's like someone says, hey, I want you to have the right to make your own decisions. I want you to have the right to think for yourself. Nobody should be able to force you to do anything. Nobody should force themselves onto you. You have the right over your own body, your own choices, and your own beliefs. Or are you gonna, or is it better if someone comes up and say, hey, you're gonna do whatever I tell you? That's the big difference here. I'm not telling you to do anything, but I will say that if you wanna, be healthy, you can exercise, eat healthily and so, and that will, protect you pretty well. I mean, not protect you completely, but it will make it so that the effects of, getting sick, I'm not talking about something like special right now, I'm just saying that the effects are gonna be a bit lesser if you're healthy, and you're probably gonna recover quicker. Because normally the people who are healthy, normally, not always, but normally they are completely fine after a pretty short while others who are very unhealthy are not fine. And then the elderly are pretty, it's pretty common for them to pass after certain, flus. But that's not something that has to do with anything now. I'm just saying, overall, it's good to live healthily and to, think for yourself. It's pretty obvious, It's good to have vitamins. It's good to, live healthily and, where you're told to, live healthily about everything except one thing. It's pretty strange, isn't it? You're told to, do all these things to stay healthy. And you understand that works, yet when it comes to very specific situations, apparently being healthy is no longer important, but just listening to the government and doing whatever the government tells you to do is what's important. And yeah, you deserve better, I deserve better, we deserve better, so please don't give your rights away. Seriously. I'm just saying. That's what the character in my novel says to another character, and they actually fight together, and they beat the government in the end. Yeah, it's a happy ending. Cheers.